Today, we are going to be looking at Star-Lord's motivations, his flaws and how he's relatable, his moral ambiguity, and his unwilling to play by the rules and how he's like not playing by the rules. But before we get into that, here's a quick summary of the movie. Peter Quill starts off as a selfish space thief, but over time he becomes a hero by learning to care about others and doing the right thing. Even though he breaks the rules and makes mistakes, he shows that you don't have to be perfect to be a hero. His story shows how people can change and do good even if they have a rough path. At the start, he steals an orb that contains a powerful stone in it that is called an Infinity Stone. This villain named Ronan wants it, and he gets his hands on it. He meets people named Gamora, Groot, Rocket, Raccoon, and Drax, and they team up together to defeat him.
Take my hand. Peter,
Pete, come on.
take my hand.
No! 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 Ah!
With me.
No! No!
Got to stay here. Please.
No!
Okay?
Peter is a young boy in a hospital. His mom is dying from cancer, and she tries to get him to hold her hand, but he's too scared and overwhelmed. Peter gets very emotional and starts going to his mother, and he's placed alone. This scene sets up Peter's emotional trauma and explains why he hides his pain behind jokes and music as an adult. The loss of his mother at such a young age is why he's guarded and immature and afraid for real connection. It's the emotional root of his anti-hero personality. Peter doesn't want to do anything heroic because he's a scared little kid who can't say goodbye to his mom. This moment makes him deeply relatable because it shows pain, fear, and loss. It helps the audience understand why he becomes emotionally closed off and rebellious later on. The camera used close up on Peter's face and his mom's hand to show their emotional connection and how hard it is for him to let go. And the intense, sad music in the background shows us viewers how painful this moment is to Peter.
This scene here where he's on Morag about to steal the orb shows that his motivations are money and he doesn't care how he gets it, he just wants to get money, make a profit by stealing stuff.
Yeah, and that code is steal from everybody.
Even if that means betraying Yondu. He shows us that sometimes breaking the rules is necessary to achieve your
Goals. In this scene, we see that they're breaking out of prison, and he's unwilling to play by the rules because Peter's not following the law. He's fighting guards, steals things, and helps others. And he's not acting like a noble hero. He's trying to survive by using tricks, fighting, and smart thinking. Well, mainly Rocket's quick thinking, but he had a plan that helped. And it shows his moral ambiguity because he's not acting in a good way, or like considered good, but justified on why he does it. And the quick cut, shaky camera angles make everything feel chaotic. And the yellow and gray flashing alarms make it more chaotic, and it shows a lifeless control place that they're trying to escape from.
This scene here is what I like to call the breakout scene version 2 because they're breaking out of the prison and Star-Lord here goes back to get his Walkman. We can see that this Walkman means a lot to him and they are getting very
Impatient, even though he usually is looking out for himself.
and this shows he doesn't play by the rules. He cheats and jokes and stumbles his way through danger in order to get what he wants. And then he comes back and joins the rest of the squad, but by doing so in his own means.
Which also shows his moral ambiguity because he's beating up the alien that took his Walkman. In this scene, we see Gamora is floating in space after her ship explodes. Peter sees that she's going to die out there if he doesn't do anything. So what he does is he goes out, puts his mask on her, risking his own life, which is very reckless of him. This scene shows Peter's growth from a selfish outlaw to someone who can act selflessly. Here he risks his life to save Gamora without thinking about the consequences. It's a turning point to show that there's more to him than just his ego. Although this seems heroic, it's not totally clear if Peter saves Gamora out of love or impulse. He doesn't think through the consequences, he just acts emotionally. The wide shot of Peter and Gamora floating alone in space makes them look small and helpless, which increases the tension and shows how huge the risk is. The close-up on Peter's freezing face highlights his pain and bravery, and the slow motion is used to make the moment feel more emotional and powerful.
This scene takes place in the middle of the battle with Ronan, where he's about to destroy the planet, and Star-Lord just for some reason starts dancing. This absurd move isn't heroic in a way, but it's unexpected, ridiculous, and kind of funny. But that's exactly the point. Peter refuses to play by the rules of a classic fight. Instead of using brute force, he uses humor and distractions in order to win. Transition. When Peter here grabs the Infinity Stone to save the others, it's a major turning point, not just for him, but for the others, because this selfish thief risked his own life, not for a profit, but to save the one he loves. When he sees his mom in that, he realizes it's not just all about money, it's about family, and protecting the ones you love. This shows he's no longer just in it for himself. His motivations has changed from survival and money to connection and willing to sacrifice anything. The slow-motion glowing light and flashbacks of his mom reaching for him symbolizes that he's finally facing his pain and choosing to grow.
At the start, he doesn't want to reach for his mother's hand, but in here we realize that he's growing, and we can tell that he's now not going to make the same mistake again.
After looking at these scenes, with this knowledge we can see that Star-Lord isn't your typical hero. He's a mixtape playing mess who proves that even the most broken people can step up when it really matters, even in the face of danger. Sometimes all it takes is trauma, friendship, and a little dance-off to save the galaxy. Do we understand and approve of it? Let's find out. Throughout these scenes we see that his motivations have changed from him being a selfish thief to gain money and profit for himself to his motivation becoming a goal of finding friends and family. Anti-heroes show that personal goals can be as important as helping others, and they remind us that not being perfect is what makes us more human. They teach us that right and wrong isn't as clear as it may seem, and they show us that sometimes breaking the rules is necessary to make things right. So we are going to be comparing Gatsby to Star-Lord. As you can see here, Gatsby and Star-Lord are both driven by connections. Gatsby is trying to get closer with Daisy by throwing parties, and he wants to belong to her, while Quill starts off as a loner but finds out that he belongs with the Guardians of the Galaxy. We can also compare him to Mary Cat from We've Always Lived in the Castle. They both act out of love. Mary Cat uses destruction to keep her loved one safe, her love for isolation, and her sister, while Star-Lord risks his life in order to save his friends. His love brings people together. Now, approval and understanding. I think Star-Lord falls on the understanding side of the spectrum rather than approval. Even though he is a criminal, when you look at his background, it makes sense why he acts like he does. He was kidnapped as a child after his mother's death and raised by a group of space pirates who did not teach him from the right and wrong way of living and how to act properly. I don't fully approve of what he does, but I understand why he does it. All he is doing is trying to survive because he was raised without much love. After his mom dies, he is placed outside alone to cry. He is trying to figure himself out as a human rather than just being a petty criminal for a living. Star-Lord's journey in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 portrays that breaking the rules for personal gain can lead to growth and redemption. And this is seen through his shift from a thief to an anti-hero. His journey is showed through humor, brightness, and close-up, highlighting his growing bond with his team. Leave your comment down below. Do you think he's an anti-hero? If so, why?